I think I got my results on December 2023, and by February 2024, I had three different offers for entry level positions, which was pretty impressive to me because after a full year of applying and not even getting callbacks, having three different offers was very, very impressive. Life just gets complicated and complicated after years, and you get more and more responsibilities, and all you got is less and less time to do, personal projects. So they said if you have the time and if you have the eagerness to go for the PE exam right now, just go for it. Don't think about it. So after work, I would go very early to the office and do my 8 hours shift, try to knock out as many tasks as I could at work. And then right after the 8 hour hit, I would close the computer and stay in the office because it's a very quiet environment, especially after hours when everybody goes home. And I would study two or more. My minimum time of studying was 2 hours. Don't be afraid of taking the risk. Go for it, especially when you're young in your career and you have time. Just go for it. I'm not saying that you shouldn't aim for victory at the first attempt, but even if you don't, succeed the first time, it's not a loss because you learned a lot in the process.
Hi, Gene.
Hello,
How's it going?
it's very good. Thank you for inviting me.
My pleasure, Gene. Many, many congratulations on passing your FE electrical exam on the first attempt, and most recently, your PE power exam on the first attempt. It's a wonderful achievement. How do you feel about it?
Definitely extremely happy, excited, and I'm happy that I'm able to hang out with my family again on the weekends instead of being locked down in my room studying like crazy.
Right. And your PE power exam preparation was relatively condensed. Let's start with your FE electrical and computer exam preparation. In fact, let's step back. When did you graduate? When did you wrap up your engineering degree? And I know you're an internationally trained engineer. So help me walk through your entire P licensing journey from the moment you graduated and what prompted you to get onto this project.
Yeah, so I graduated in 2023, July. I got my degree. I actually finished college the very last class, December 2022. So you can count that as the end of my college degree. Right after I finished, I actually graduated from Venezuela, which is a completely Hispanic country. So all of my studies were in Spanish. I moved to the US, and it is a little bit competitive. It is very difficult to compare a non-accredited foreign institution versus people that have been graduating in the US, of course. So getting into the engineering market was a little bit difficult, was actually very difficult. So I started researching to see how I could make my studies be available over here. And I figured out that, of course, the most available credentials that you can have in the US is having the FE if you're entry level, and down on the road, you can have the PE, which is actually, I would say the higher step that you can give. And that's what's actually going to make you a professional engineer. So I started researching. I found your program. I'm very grateful for that. And I started studying your program while I was working, of course, non-engineering jobs because I wouldn't get called because of course, other people being apparently more qualified than myself. Those jobs actually helped me a lot. I'm grateful for those jobs because they helped me leverage my English level. But anyways, everyday talking is not close to the technical language and the technical vocabulary that you have to have, especially if you have to do a professional job like engineering. And electrical engineering has its own very technical niche vocabulary that you have to be able to learn. So I started studying for that. I passed my FE exam around, I think it was December or end of the year of 2023. And it was pretty impressive how easy or fast, I'm not going to say easy, but fast, I was able to get an engineering related job right after passing the FE. Actually, I think I got my results on December 2023, and by February 2024, I had three different offers for entry level positions, which was pretty impressive to me because After a full year of applying and applying and not even getting callbacks, having three different offers was very, very impressive. And they were all at the same time. So it was pretty good. Since then, I've been working full time as a substation design engineer for both physical and PNC design, which Wazim talks a lot about in his program, which I thought it was pretty good. And I've been working full time there since June or July, I think, this year. I decided I wanted to take the PE. I do not have the years of experience working under a professional engineer yet to be able to apply for the license, but most experienced people than myself have taught me that life just gets complicated and complicated after years, and you get more and more responsibilities, and all you got is less and less time to do personal projects. So they said if you have the time and if you have the eagerness to go for the PE exam right now, just go for it. Don't think about it. I was going through some personal stuff during that date, but I was like, if you don't listen to people that know more than you, you're not going to get that far. So I scheduled my test as soon as I could on November this year. And I didn't know that NCEES was planning to change the test after decades of being the same content. So I scheduled it and I immediately went back to Wasim's program. I actually shoot him an email and asked him, "Hey, what should I do? I'm planning on taking the PE. I want to enroll in your program. Do we do?" He was extremely receptive. So I just enrolled in the program again. The first 2 months of my preparation, 2 or 3 months, I wasn't being very consistent. The difference between the FE and PE is that for the FE, I only did the on-demand bundle, and I did 100% completion of the program because I didn't have any time crush or anything. So, but for the PE, I decided to go for the live training because I had this full time engineering job that I am making sure they still love me, they still want me. So I'm very careful of keeping all my responsibilities up to date and all that. And what they have been saying, it's true. From 2 years to now, all I have is more responsibilities and a little bit less time for myself. So I said I'm going to take the live class so I can have this commitment to assist and don't fall behind in the content. However, my exam, I scheduled it too soon, so I didn't even have the time to finish the live class before the test came. So the last 2 months of my preparation, I committed with myself and I communicated to my family and to my coworkers and colleagues that I would be every second that I wasn't, doing something with them, I would be studying. So after work, I would go very early to the office and do my 8 hours shift, try to knock out as many tasks as I could at work. And then right after the 8 hour hit, I would close the computer and stay in the office because it's a very quiet environment, especially after hours when everybody goes home. And I would study two or more. My minimum time of studying was 2 hours because some of the live classes can take up to 2 hours. And I needed to be able to practice other than only watching the live training. So every day I said to myself, I'm going to stay 2 hours. And that's what I did. And all the weekends for 2 months, what I did was to sit down and study. And I would put myself a goal of contents that I needed to cover during that day. And basically, what would extend or shorten the time would be how many practice exams, or I'm sorry, how many practice problems I would be able to do. That's what I did for 2 months. And then when I was going to take the exam, I took 2 days off the week before. My exam was scheduled for a Wednesday. So I took the Wednesday before that off and the Thursday. Friday, I had to work. And those 2 days, what I did was to do practice exams. One practice exam can take you a full day. So I was like, I need at least 4 days before the exam that I can do practice exams. So I know what I am, strong and weak on. And then I did more practices exams during the weekend. And then Monday before the exam, I basically just reviewed all the content that I needed to review that I didn't review during the weekend. And the Tuesday before the exam, I decided to study like 2 hours and then just don't do anything related to engineering or numbers or electricity at all. I actually went to a theme park with my family that day because I was like, if I haven't learned something to this point, I'm not going to learn it today. And I was told by a lot of people that you don't want to be, overstimulated right before the exam. And that's very true. A lot of times during those long weekends that I would definitely only study and study and study, there was a point where I was watching the content and paying, like, my attention was completely focused on the screen. I didn't have my phone on, I didn't have any external distractions, and I wouldn't understand a word of what the content said because I was completely tired. And what I had to do on those times was like get up, take a walk, talk with people, have human interaction, and then go back and keep studying. I didn't want to have that feeling during the test. So I decided not to study the day before. And then I took the test. I felt very comfortable during the test, which was a little bit scary because sometimes when I walked out in college super confident of a test, it wasn't the same result than when I walked out thinking that I struggle. Usually, when I struggle, I had better results. But for this test was different. I walked out very confident of the first half. I actually had 30 minutes to spare. And for the second half, I had a full hour that I could use only to review my flagged questions one by one, correcting, potential errors and whatnot. So it was definitely a super, super, focused time. It wasn't super long. I actually heard some words that I heard in the program saying, I know it looks like a burden and it feels like a burden, and it's time that you're sacrificing from being with your family and doing other stuff that you like. But when you put it in perspective right after you pass the exam, that period where you're studying feels so short compared to all of the benefits you're going to get after passing the exam and all of the and I wouldn't even go that far only because of the achievement feeling that you get after passing the exam. It makes you feel like all of those months of preparation and all of those late night studying sessions were worth a lot. So I'm very grateful for having passed the exam. I'm very grateful for people that always supported me, like my family. Once those are definitely the first people that supported me. My colleagues, of course, and well, Wasim, excellent instructor, I would say. It's a fantastic program, and the approach of getting super deep into the content just because we want to understand what is going on. It's what actually locks down your possible success, I would say. There are a lot of things in the industry that are very abstract, specifically for electrical engineers. Electricity, I used to joke with my college friends saying that electricity is magic, and no electrical engineer actually knows what we are dealing with because you cannot see it, you cannot touch it. And when you're fighting a fighter, you see the fist coming to you. When you're fighting a cable, you don't know what hits you. It's just so fast and you don't actually see it. And they would actually, make jokes about it. So getting to know the concept with all of the abstractions that it carries, it's what makes you, first of all, able to pass the exam and what actually makes you a very valuable resource when it comes to electrical engineering. And I have noticed for, with senior people that have taught me a lot of stuff that they are the people that are the most careful when they talk because they know that they don't want to say something they don't completely understand. And it's not because they don't want to be judged or anything. It's just a matter of I respect you and I respect myself enough to not start talking about things I don't know. And I recognize that this is very complicated, but I can teach you as much as I can. And you notice that people that don't know the concepts that deeply, they are the ones that actually make the most mistakes. And they are the ones that talk very confidently about things they don't know. So it's that is a dangerous, land because you start losing, the trust that other people have on what your knowledge is. So, I mean, I can definitely say that I have senior people that I feel a lot more comfortable asking questions to, just because they give me that feeling of they completely understand. I have a sense that they're better professionals and they're, more capable of answering any questions I have. And I want to be that kind of person. So having that approach when you're preparing to your exam of I'm not moving on until I fully understand this. Even if I had all of the questions in the mini quiz correct, if I'm not sure why it is correct, I'm going to go back and make sure that I completely understand what I'm doing. So and that's extremely available during the exam. You have no idea the little nuggets and conversations that come out during the preparation, talking to other people that is preparing, talking to your instructor, instructor, talking to more senior people. Those things are extremely valuable. So yeah, level three understanding, as you say, it's the best weapon. So I'm definitely happy. I'm now looking for my next challenge for sure. I'm going to take some rest from studying in the meantime, but yeah, I completely, definitely would say that one of the best things in your professional career you can do, even if you are young in your career, is to take the challenge. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of taking the risk. Go for it, especially when you're young in your career and you have time. Just go for it. I'm not saying that you shouldn't aim for victory at the first attempt, but even if you don't, succeed the first time, it's not a loss because you learned a lot in the process, which is going to help you to do it better next time you do it, right? So don't be afraid. Take your opportunities every time you see them. If it's a good opportunity and you feel that it would be beneficial for you, go for it. Don't stop. And yeah, enjoy the process as painful as it is, because when you look back and you remember what you did to get to where you are, you feel very proud of yourself. So I had heard this quote once that says, "Don't stop until you feel proud." And I carry that, very seriously, because that works as fuel whenever I'm, purchasing any goal in my life, if it whether it is professional, personal, or anything. So yeah, I went a little bit over the time. I'm sorry about that. Do you have any
This
other?
is amazing. I actually didn't feel like interrupting you because your flow was so nice and you were speaking from your heart. I think that you gave a very, very holistic overview. And I just want to, add a couple of points just to emphasize what you've achieved and how grand of an achievement it is, because you graduated in Venezuela. Your first language is obviously not English. Your mode of instruction, the medium of instruction is not English as well, and you're really articulate, really eloquent. And I understand that you worked really hard on your language skills as well. And it becomes even more challenging when your mode of communication or the mode of instruction is not English, because you mentioned early on that electrical engineering is very abstract, very technical. It has its own language, its own lingo, its own terminology. So you had to learn English. And then on top of that, you had to learn technical English. You passed your FE electrical and computer exam in the first attempt with roughly 3 to 4 months of preparation with my program. Took a little bit of break. The FE electrical exam unlocked EIT certification for you. It unlocked a really nice engineering job for you. You were able to get a foot in the door within a month or two. You had 3 job offers on your table, and the year before you had been applying for an entire year with no serious response. And you establish yourself at your workplace. You recognize that now the next step, the PE power, I don't want to delay it. Jumped into the PE power exam preparation, and I do remember one-on-one onboarding Zoom call with you, in which you're like, Wasim, I want to get this done by the end of the year, and I don't want to ideally drag it until December. So this is my timeline, and I gave you a game plan. You started a little bit slowly, but then, in 4 months preparing for this exam, 4 to 5 months, and getting it done in the first attempt is an achievement. You showed up to pretty much every single live class that we had with good quality questions. And I noticed that as you progressed with your preparation, the quality of your questions even further increased. And I do clearly remember one question that you had in the live training class. You were asking about the double line to ground fault. How is it different from line to line to line to ground fault in terms of why the ground comes into play in DLG and the ground doesn't come into play in triple LG? Very abstract concept, really requires a thorough understanding of sequence components, symmetrical and unsymmetrical faults, not just a plug and chug equation mathematics or the formulas. And you indicated level 3 understanding. I can clearly tell that you completely embraced it, in the sense that you were learning for the sake of learning, and in parallel preparing for the exam. And the exam day confidence that you mentioned, like you felt completely comfortable, very relaxed walking into and walking out of the exam. So this comes with a lot of effort. You use my exam preparation resources to effectively prepare for the exam, but at the end of the day, it's a mindset, it's a commitment, a couple of hours during the weekdays and several hours over the weekend. So you brought to the table what I think is an ideal scenario: commitment, hard work, and utilizing the resources, and continuously staying accountable with your progress and making sacrifices. You mentioned that you're now looking forward to going back to spending quality time with friends and family, and the sacrifices that you made on the social side of things, how other folks within your life assisted you, cooperated with you, picked up the slack, right? Probably did the groceries and the cooking and the cleaning and everything, right? So all of that is extremely helpful, but none of that would be possible without having that attitude to basically become perfect at your craft. It's always a continuous learning process, but that having that intention that I'm not going to do the bare minimum, I'm going to do whatever is required to get this done. And you also mentioned that you're not afraid of failure. Although you got these exams done in the first attempt, both FE and PE, but each time you walked into the exam, seems like you were not afraid of failure. You were going to get this thing done eventually, and no matter how many attempts it took. So it's honestly like that perfect combination of the right mindset, backing it up with a lot of hard work and using effective resources, not being shy and asking questions. You were asking questions in the course community as well, and you were asking questions during the live training as well. You were sending me emails throughout the process, and then trying to keep up with all the content that I had to offer in the program, both FE Electrical and P Power. So wonderful achievement, and you already have seen the results of recognition, the reward. The growth in your career has fast tracked, right? And it is only going to get better. So many congratulations to you, Eugene, and also thanks a lot for making time for this call. Anything that you'd like to add before we go?
No, thank you, of course, for such a high quality program that you provide. Even though this is your work and this is, what you do, this is something that goes beyond because it has direct impact in other people's life. So I appreciate that. I appreciate the honesty. You never said that you were going to be able to make you pass the exam no matter what you did. No, you were very clear and transparent from the beginning. This is not a shortcut. My course, it's not about passing the exam and that's it. My goal is to make you guys better professionals and having a lot of understanding, but that is not going to be possible if you guys don't put a lot of effort into it. So having that, transparency from the beginning, makes you feel and makes you build trust and makes you feel like, okay, this person, it's going to help me because it's not definitely just trying to sell me something. So I appreciate that. Keep on going, keep on changing lives with him. You're doing great. And for folks out there, don't be scared. Just take one step at a time if you need to, or take big jumps, whatever you guys feel comfortable with. As long as you don't stay where you are, but you keep evolving and you keep just getting better and better.
Awesome. Thanks. Well said, Gene. And I look forward to being in touch with you with my advanced power systems courses and the initiative that I'm rolling out. And we'll continue learning together. Thanks for your time.
Bye bye.
If you're new to this channel, please consider subscribing. On a weekly basis, I'm creating content for FE Electrical and P Power exam preparation. I also discuss topics related to electrical engineering with a focus on power systems engineering. If you'd like to learn more about my FE Electrical and P Power exam preparation programs, please visit my website, studyforfe.com.